Anybody who's ever flown United Airlines might agree with me that they're probably the worst airline out there, especially for international travel. Their flights are always late, they get canceled all the time, and what's most maddening about it is their customer service is practically non-existent. I defy you to find a phone number where you can call United Airlines. Most of the time we go through travel agents anyway, or go to Expedia or something like that and buy our tickets, so we never really have to encounter customer service very often. But when you do, it's not an easy thing because it's, like I said, almost non-existent. Well, if you know me, you may know that this past August we got blessed with another United Airlines fiasco trying to get home from Germany, and what happened was our flight got canceled. The flight from Berlin to Newark, which is the important leg of the flight, the one that gets us from Europe back to the States, was actually canceled. But it was only canceled after we sat at the gate for about 8 hours watching them try to fix the plane. It was, the engine compartment was open and there was parts all over the tarmac, and guys with reflective suits working on, this plane's not going to take off, it's not going anywhere. But what was even worse is during that whole time, they had made no preparations for any of this. They didn't give a shit. In fact, their level of shit giving on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being absolutely don't give a shit, 10 being exemplary shit giving, but they were a negative number. Which how do you get the lack of shit giving to a negative number? I would say that's giving us shit about it, right? Us, the passengers, who are trying to figure out what's going on, giving us a hard time and making us do a lot of things that you just don't do when you're a major airline, like not telling anybody anything, or having this poor young completely unprepared gate attendant. Now this is Germany, remember, and this little girl, she had a very soft voice, and she didn't really speak German very good. She didn't speak English very good either. I think she was Jamaican. Very, very sweet girl, but very soft-spoken, didn't know anything, and she was put in charge of 150 pissed-off people from all over the world who were trying to get from Berlin to the United States and not knowing what was going on. They did a whole bunch of other very undignified things in terms of what airlines should do, like make us follow them all the way across Berlin-Tegel Airport, down some stairs, across the tarmac, out to some warehouse to get our luggage. Okay, we have to uncheck our luggage. We have to get our luggage back, right? Get our luggage. That we get there, and nobody knows how to give the luggage out. Like, read the names off. And so, the guy I'm traveling with, my buddy Jim, gets up on the thing and starts calling names off. And suddenly, a million iPhones go up like, hey, a passenger has gotten involved. This is going on YouTube. I haven't found it yet, but that was my idea, that everybody wanted a piece of this because it was an interesting thing. Anyway, this whole fiasco, finally get home, 29 hours after I'm supposed to be home, and what made it even worse is that I was trying to get home for my 50th birthday, and I ended up having to travel on my 50th birthday, and the only redeeming part of the trip is that the passport guys in the Munich airport, when they saw my passport, they stopped and sang me happy birthday in sort of Germanish English. I thought that was great. But I get home a day and a half after I wanted to get home, but I found out that according to European air travel rules, United is bound by this rule, and it was very clear language that I found on their website. They have to compensate me for that delay. If they get you home 4 hours, according to this European rule, if you're later than 4 hours than your pre-scheduled arrival at home time, they're on the hook for 600 euros, not dollars, euros. That's probably $700 and something dollars at today's exchange rate. Or they can offer you coupons or discounts or miles or whatever. But ultimately, it's your choice, my choice, passenger, of whatever they offer me, or 600 euros, whatever I want. Okay, now the process begins of trying to collect that 600 euros, and like I said earlier, try to find a phone number where you can call them. I finally found one buried in the terms and conditions on some obscure page on their website, and I ended up calling it. And after a whole bunch of phone calls of people not having a clue what I was talking about, I finally find somebody who does. And it turns out it's a person working in some customer service center, some service center in the United States, and not in Pakistan or wherever they do most of their stuff. So this began in August, and I spent a couple of months going through this whole process of back and forth emails and this and that, and trying to get all the little details that they wanted and turning down their offers for coupons and discounts. I'm not going to fly United again. I don't want your miles. I don't want your coupon. I don't want a free ticket to anywheres with certain exceptions applying. I just want cash, right? So I go through this whole big process, and finally, in the beginning of November, I finally get this thing back from them that says, okay, all you need to do is fill this thing out. They emailed me this form. Fill this thing out, and then mail it to an address at Heathrow Airport in England. I guess because it's dealt with the European Union, and which England's not part of the EU, are they? But anyway, it's their side of the pond, and they want to deal with it over there. So I go through that whole thing, and I mail this letter, and I didn't mail it certified with a return receipt because that would have been like, it's way more expensive to do that than it is to do it domestic mail. So I just mail this thing off and hope for the best. Okay. Am I ever going to get paid? And I'm thinking, 600 euros, it would really be nice to have that money right now. It's Christmas time coming up, and, it'd just be nice to have. Well, anyway, I go out and check my mail today, and look what I got. They paid. United Airlines sent me a check, and it says, handwritten, somebody wrote this by hand, 600 fucking euros. The moral to this story is, you can beat this thing. You can win. You can stick to it and not take no for an answer, and you can get what you deserve. I'm happy about that. 600 euros. Woohoo! Now I got to see if Bank of America understands what a euro is and will cash this thing for me. I'll find that out tomorrow. Merry Christmas, everybody.